Hello students, this is Sunil George, your English teacher for class 12 this year, and today we'll be doing the first poem in Flamingos, which is My Mother at 66, and it's written by Kamla Das. Talking about Kamla Das, she was in fact a renowned poet, who was born in 1934 in Malabar, which is in Kerala, and she was considered to be one of India's most prolific writers. She's written many books, including Alphabet of Last in 1977. Then she wrote Padmavati and the Harlot and Other Stories, in 1922. And she's known for her sensitivity of her poems, and she talks about the complexities of human character and relationships as such. This particular poem which we're going to do, she talks about the subtleties, of human relationships, and it's a lyrical idiom. It's a beautiful poem. It captures a small little image. You can see the slide. She's been awarded with many awards. So this poem, the first page, if you see, you know uh, she talks about how she's traveling home. She's traveling with a mother, and she's driving and her mother is sitting next to me, driving from her parents home to Cochin last Friday morning. I saw my mother beside me, doze, open mouth, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and I realized with pain, and she thought away, and put that thought away, and looked, but soon put that thought away. It's how she realizes, when she's traveling, she's going to that airport, and her mother is sitting next to her, and suddenly she looks at her mother and realizes, that her mother is sleeping. She's sleeping, and she has her mouth open. And when she looks at her mother, she realizes suddenly, that she's become old. She had never ever thought that way, and probably, in a moment she realizes that her mother has become quite old, and she doesn't like the thought of it, but she wanted to be happier, and so she tried to put that thought away. She starts looking outside, and then she looks outside and she sees that I looked outside at the yellow trees, the young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her van, pale as a late winter's moon. See, she wanted to have positive thoughts. She didn't want those thoughts of seeing her mother in such a way, old, wrinkled, wasn't a very good feeling for her. So what she does is she looks outside, so that her mind can see more pleasant scenes. And when she looks out, she sees the merry trees sprinting. Although the trees do not sprint, it's just a kind of an optical illusion. And she saw, the trees sprinting, and then she sees the merry children spilling out of their homes, the children full of energy, waiting to come out of their homes. They want to go and play. And it's here the poet, the poetess, she's compared both the sides. On to her left is a mother who's sitting, dozed. She's old. She's about to, anything can happen to her at any time. She's not full of life, no energy. But on the right side, she the merry trees sprinting, the children coming out to play. So it's a compare and kind of a contrast kind of a character what she talks about here. One side is lifelessness, other side it's full of life, energy, strength, vigor, zeal, enthusiasm. So after that, then she compares her mother to a late winter's moon, because her mother, she's old, so she compares her to the late winter's moon. And when she looks at her mother, and she realizes, that once again she's having that same old thought in her mind, and she recalls her childhood fear. But I soon put that thought away and said, Amma, see you soon. And all I did was smile and smile and smile. And that last line, that repetition of smile and smile, she looks at her mother and she just smiles, because she knows she may or may not be able to see her mother. And it's not a very happy scene, such a departure scene at the airport. The last thing probably that you want is not to see your mother again. You would love to see her, but then at that stage she doesn't know what exactly may happen. She may or may not be able to see her mother. So she feels sad about it, but she does not want to make her mother sad. She just looks at her, and she smiles, and positively she says, see you soon, Amma. But in her heart of hearts she knew that she may not be able to see her again. And it's that scene of departure, and that last line, where they've used that repetition, it's smile and smile and smile. The mother also probably knew that she may not be able to see her daughter, and the daughter also knew that probably I may not be able to see my mother once again. That's how a human life is all about. But they had to endure that. We like it or not, we all have to endure that. So it's a small little moment which the poet has captured, in a beautiful, subtle way. Talking about the question answers here, we've got a few questions, which are quite simple, which can be done, which can be easily answered, and they're all short answers. Remember, for your poems you'll just be getting 2-mark answers, 2-mark questions, and you don't have to write more than 3 lines. So they're all short answer questions, and I'll very soon be sending you questions based on these poem, which you'll be answering as your assignments. And if you still have any queries, you can get back to me, you can call me. Anything that you've not understood, you're most welcome to get back to me. You can, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. The main symbol used here, poetic devices used here, simile. Twice they've used it here. One as as face ashen like that of a corpse, ashen like that of a corpse. Where the poet has compared her mother's face to that of a corpse. Corpse means a dead body, so the comparison is done by using the term like. So that is one example of simile. And then second example is wan pale as a late winter's moon. Pale as a late winter's moon. So that is another example of simile being used here. Besides that, it's the poem is all about the complexities and the subtleties of human relationships. It's a beautiful poem, and it's not at all difficult in any ways. The most important part of the poem is the comparison of when the poet looks out. On one side is a mother sitting in the car, and the other side, outside the car, she sees that those trees sprinting and the children beaming, coming out of the house, full of life and energy. So one of the most expected questions and one of the most important questions in the poem is, what is the poet trying to see outside? So you can answer it, that the poet is trying to see, she's seeing the trees outside. The trees were going past them as if they were sprinting. She also saw the children coming out of the homes, and they're in a cheerful mood. They're full of life and energy, full of strength and vigor. Okay, and besides this, I told you the poetic devices used. The poetic devices used simile. Mainly that has been used twice. It has been used in the poem. And besides that, a few other phrases which you need to understand is, put that thought away. Put that thought away means she's trying to push away the thoughts which is coming to her mind, the thoughts which she does not want to think about, but helplessly it is coming back to her mind again and again, and probably it's making her sad. So for that reason she's trying to put those thoughts away. She's trying to show it back, so that it does not make her feel sad at that stage, when she knows she will be getting separated from her mother pretty soon. And for that reason, she doesn't want to think of those on those lines. So that is again one phrase which has been used, which you should be remembering. The familiar ache. that familiar ache, towards the end they were again written about that familiar ache. The familiar ache refers to that ache which that poet, the fear the poet always had since childhood, that one day she may lose her mother. So it's that what she's talking about, right? So besides that, the poet has also used a few other poetic devices like metaphor, the merry children spilling out of the homes. Okay, and then your personification, the young trees sprinting. See, the young trees don't sprint. Trees cannot sprint, although tree is a living thing. It cannot sprint, but here the trees have been personified as if they are full of life, and they're like the human qualities have been attributed to it, and it can run. So trees again have been personified here. Then repetition in the last line, all I did was smile and smile and smile. Like I said, that again is a repetition where the poet is trying to highlight uh, that particular feeling. So the poem ends in an ellipsis. Thank you, and I hope you all understood that. You can get back to me anytime.